I just want to see my balance. Here it is.
Let's see. What?
I just want to check my balance, she said. The millionaire laughed. Until he saw the screen, the marble floors of First National Bank gleamed under massive crystal chandeliers, reflecting the polished shoes of wealthy clients who treated the building like their second home. This wasn't the kind of bank you walked into casually. This was the kind of place where appointments were booked weeks in advance, where velvet ropes separated the elite from everyone else, and where security guards recognized every important face. But on this particular Tuesday morning, no one recognized the little girl who stepped through the heavy glass doors. She couldn't have been more than 12 years old. Her hair was tangled like it hadn't seen a brush in days. Her clothes were ripped, stained, and hanging loose on her skinny frame. In her dirt-covered hands, she clutched something tightly to her chest as if it were treasure. And her feet. She was barefoot. Each step left faint marks on the spotless marble floor. The entire bank went silent. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. A woman in a designer suit pulled her expensive purse closer. A few tellers exchanged uneasy glances. A security guard's hand slowly moved toward his radio. Then someone whispered loudly enough to be heard. "Security." The girl walks to the counter before anyone could stop her. The girl walked straight toward the nearest teller window. The young teller, fresh out of college and still learning the ropes, froze in panic. The girl spoke softly, almost like a whisper. I just want to check my balance." At that exact moment, loud laughter exploded from the center of the bank. 3 men in expensive suits were standing near the main desk, clearly enjoying themselves. In the middle of them stood Richard Blackwood, a real estate tycoon worth over $50 million. He laughed so loudly it echoed across the room. "Did you hear that?" he said, turning to his friends. "She wants to check her balance." His friends joined in, laughing cruelly. Richard smirked and added, "What balance? The dirt under your nails." More laughter. But the girl didn't flinch. She simply reached into her hand and placed something on the counter, a worn-out, mud-stained bank card. It looked like it had been buried in the ground and dug up again. "That card can't be real." The teller wrinkled her nose, clearly hesitant to touch it. "Miss, I don't think—" The girl interrupted calmly. "Please." Her voice was steady. "My grandma told me to check it when I turned 12. Today is my birthday." Richard laughed even harder. "A birthday?" he said. "Kid, this is a bank for serious people with serious money. Why don't you crawl back under whatever bridge you came from?" The bank manager, Gerald Thompson, hurried over, nervous. "Mr. Blackwood," he said cautiously. "Perhaps we should—" Richard cut him off. "Perhaps we should call the police. She's obviously trying to scam someone." But Gerald hesitated. He had worked at this bank for 30 years. He'd seen every kind of customer imaginable. And something about the girl's eyes. She didn't look like a thief. She looked like someone who refused to break. Gerald turned to the teller and said quietly, "Just scan the card." The teller swallowed hard, wiped the card with a tissue and swiped it. Nothing. The screen stayed blank. Laughter filled the bank again. Richard crossed his arms smugly. "See? I told you." The teller swiped again. Still nothing. The laughter grew louder. Richard shook his head. "Probably picked it up from a trash can." But the teller swiped one more time, this time pressing harder, cleaning the strip carefully. The computer beeped, and suddenly, the teller's face went pale. Her eyes widened. She leaned closer to the screen, then blinked, then leaned closer again like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "This," she whispered. "This can't be right." The manager turns white. Gerald stepped forward. "What is it?" he asked. The teller didn't answer. She just stared. Gerald looked at the screen, and the color drained from his face. His hands began to shake. He gripped the edge of the counter to steady himself. Richard Blackwood's smile faded. "What's going on?" he snapped. "Why are you all standing there?" Gerald slowly turned away from the screen and looked at the girl as if seeing her for the first time. His voice came out barely above a whisper. What is your name?" the girl replied quietly. Emma Richardson." The name hit Gerald like a punch. His eyes widened. "Richardson," he muttered. Richard's friend James frowned. That name sounds familiar. Gerald quickly printed the statement. His hands trembled as the paper came out. He walked around the counter and handed it to the girl personally, his tone suddenly respectful. "Miss Richardson, I sincerely apologize for the delay." Emma looked down at the paper. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. She simply nodded, as if she already knew. "What does that paper say?" Richard stepped forward aggressively. "What is this?" he demanded. "What game is she playing?" Gerald turned to him, and for the first time in Richard's life, Gerald didn't look afraid of him. Gerald spoke clearly, firmly, and loud enough for everyone to hear. "Mr. Blackwood, I would like to introduce you to Miss Emma Richardson." The entire bank held its breath. Gerald continued, "She is the sole heir of the Richardson estate." Richard's mouth opened, but Gerald wasn't done. "Her account balance," Gerald said slowly, "currently stands at $247 million. The bank went dead silent. It was as if time froze. No one laughed. No one spoke. No one even moved. Richard Blackwood's face went through stages: confusion, shock, and finally fear. "That's impossible." Richard stammered. "She's just a kid. She looks like—" Gerald cut him off coldly. "Like someone who has spent the last 2 years in foster care?" Richard swallowed. Gerald continued, his voice sharp now. "Her grandmother passed away. Her assets were locked in legal trust until her 12th birthday. Emma spoke quietly. "My grandma was Martha Richardson. She founded Richardson Industries. When she died, she left everything to me, but I could only access it today." She paused. "The lawyers told me, but I didn't believe them. Then she looked up. I needed to see it myself, so I walked here from the group home." James pulled out his phone and started searching. His face turned pale as he read. "Richardson Industries, sold for $800 million. Martha Richardson, philanthropist, died 2 years ago." He looked up slowly. "Oh my God, it's real." Richard Blackwood looked like he was about to throw up. "I want to speak to him. Privately." Emma folded the paper and slipped it into her pocket. Then she turned to Gerald. "I need to meet the estate attorneys. Can you arrange that?" Gerald nodded quickly. "Absolutely, Miss Richardson. Of course. Please use my office. Can I get you water? Food? Anything you need." Emma raised her hand gently. "Actually, I'd like to speak to Mr. Blackwood for a moment." Richard's face went completely gray. The private room, they entered a private meeting room. Emma sat down in a large leather chair, looking small against the expensive furniture. Richard stood awkwardly near the door like a man waiting for judgment. He finally spoke. I'm so sorry." His voice cracked. "I didn't know who you were. If I had known—" Emma finished his sentence calmly. "If you knew I had money, you would have treated me differently." Richard froze. Emma continued, "But you didn't know, so you treated me like trash. Like I didn't belong. Like I wasn't even human." Richard opened his mouth but couldn't find a single excuse. Emma stood up. Her voice was quiet, but powerful. "My grandmother was born poor. Very poor." She took a step closer. She told me stories about people who laughed at her, people who looked down on her, people who said she would never become anything. Emma's eyes didn't blink, and when she became successful, do you know what she did? Richard shook his head slowly. Emma answered, "She helped people. She built schools. She funded hospitals. She created programs for foster kids. Kids like me." Then Emma's voice became colder. She never forgot what it felt like to be mocked. She leaned forward slightly, and neither will I. Richard's throat tightened. Emma turned toward the door, then stopped, and said the final words like a blade. "And by the way, next month your company is applying for a Richardson Foundation grant." Richard's eyes widened. Emma looked him dead in the face. "That foundation is mine now." Richard's face turned from white to green. The story goes viral within an hour. Lawyers arrived. Within 2 hours, the story spread across the financial district. Within 1 day, it was national news. A viral video recorded by someone in the lobby captured everything: Richard Blackwood's cruel laughter, The moment the card was swiped, the teller's shocked face, and the exact second the millionaire realized the truth. But the world didn't share it because of the scandal. They shared it because of Emma. When reporters asked what she planned to do with her money, her answer was simple: what my grandmother wanted. Help people who need it, especially the ones everyone ignores. Ending message: that little barefoot girl didn't walk into the bank to prove anything. She didn't come to show off. She came to confirm one thing: that her grandmother's final gift was real. But by doing that, she taught an entire room full of rich people a lesson money can't buy. Never judge someone's worth by how they look, because the person you laugh at today may be the one deciding your future tomorrow. And sometimes, the richest person in the room is the one nobody expected. The end.